All right, I call to order the May 18th LAFCo meeting. And let's see, for those attending the meeting, so we'll hear from Angela right now.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman O'Neill. For those attending the Zoom on the video conference, we will use the raised hand feature in order to organize any public comments. During the general public comment period and for each item on the regular agenda, I will ask those members of the public who wish to comment to click the raised hand feature to speak on that agenda item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak, and then *6 once called upon. When you hear your name called, I will prompt you to unmute your microphone and inform you that you may begin speaking. You will have 2 minutes. Please note that members of the public must wait for the prompt in connection with each agenda item before using the raise hand function. For example, you cannot raise your hand during item 3 if you would like to speak on item 5. Written comments that were submitted in advance would be addressed by staff during appropriate discussion item. Thank you.
And I want to apologize. I accidentally pulled up the wrong agenda for April, not May. So I apologize for that flub there. So moving on to item 1, please take roll call.
Commissioner Cosgrove?
Here.
Commissioner Horsley is absent. Commissioner Lohman?
Here.
Commissioner Rarback?
Here.
Commissioner Slocum is absent. And Vice Chair Draper?
Here.
Chairman O'Neill?
Here.
Thank you, Chair. And we do have members of the public, Diana Reddy and Jim O'Neill, and staff is represented by Executive Officer Rob Bartoli, Legal Counsel Timothy Thoughts. Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 2, we will move to item 2 and open the public comment for items not on the agenda. Do we have any written public comments, and do we have any hands raised?
Thank you, Chairman. We did not receive any written public comments, and we'll give it a couple seconds, but we do not have any virtual hands raised for items not on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll move on to item agenda 3, the consent agenda, and that's a resolution to make findings relating to remote meetings under the Brown Act. Okay, you need I'd say entertain a motion for this.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
All right, thank you. Angela?
Commissioner Cosgrove?
Aye.
Commissioner Lohman?
Yes.
Commissioner Rarback?
Yes.
Vice Chair Draper?
Yes.
Chairman O'Neill?
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Your motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, now we will go to item 4. We'll move on item 4, LAFCo file number 22202, proposed minor sphere of influence amendment and annexation of 3343 Alpine Road, unincorporated Santa Clara County to the West Bay Sanitary District. Rob?
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. Before you, there is a proposal to annex 3343 Alpine Road, an undeveloped parcel in unincorporated Santa Clara County, to the West Bay Sanitary District to allow the construction of a single-family home. The property is currently outside the sphere of influence of West Bay Sanitary District, so a sphere of influence amendment is required, and approval from Santa Clara and San Mateo LAFCos are required as part of this proposal. This is just an overall map of the West Bay Sanitary District. The current boundaries of the district are in orange. The yellow is the existing sphere of influence, and then there's a pop-up portion here that's showing the existing parcel that's proposed for annexation, and a little bit closer up one showing the parcel again right along the boundary of Santa Clara County and San Mateo along Alpine Road. The parcel here is hard hatched and shown in orange, and the existing sphere of influence and the boundaries of the district that are in Santa Clara County are shown to the south. The parcel itself is a rather long strip of land running along Los Trancos Creek, which borders the western side of the parcel. So this creek is up against this area. In 2016, Santa Clara County's Department of Environmental Health determined that any development on the site for future use, that an on-site wastewater treatment system was not feasible due largely to the parcel configuration and the requirements about being at least 100 feet away from any creek, which is certainly a challenge for this particular parcel due to the location of the existing creek and the size and nature of the parcel itself. The subject property is located within Santa Clara County, and West Bay Sanitary District is located primarily in San Mateo County. So San Mateo LAFCo is considered the principal LAFCo for the West Bay Sanitary District, as San Mateo County has the greater portion of the assessed property value of properties within the service area of the district. A referral from San Mateo LAFCo to Santa Clara LAFCo was made in February of this year. Santa Clara LAFCo then referred the application to its various departments in Santa Clara County for review and comment. All Santa Clara County departments recommended approval of the annexation. And this is similar to other West Bay Sanitary District parcels that have been annexed in the past to the district. The property owners have conditionally approved plans from the County of Santa Clara to construct a new single-family home on the property. Also, the Santa Clara County LAFCo approved this application on April 6, 2022, and recommended approval of the annexation to San Mateo LAFCo and transmitted a resolution of that approval. And the West Bay Sanitary District also is supportive of the annexation. There were previous amendments for the West Bay Sanitary District parcels in Santa Clara County in 1999 and 2002. In 1999, there were 27 parcels along Los Trancos Creek that were annexed or included in the sphere of influence of the district. And at the time, County Environmental Health from Santa Clara conducted a survey of those parcels and identified them that they were unlikely to able to construct septic systems on those parcels, again, due to either high levels of groundwater or the proximity to the creek. In 2002, there were additional parcels that were added to the sphere of influence in Santa Clara County, again, along Los Trancos Road and Arascadero Road. However, this particular parcel, 3334 Alpine Road, was not included in those sphere of influence amendments. It really is the only parcel that is in that area that was undeveloped at the time, and largely the parcels to the north and to the west of them that are in Santa Clara County are owned by Stanford, and so they're mainly used for agricultural purposes. So the annexation shall be consistent with the sphere of influence for a district as required by LAFCo law. So an amendment to the district sphere of influence is required to process this application. Regarding, as there needs to be a sphere of influence amendment, there are several determinations that have to be made, and that includes the present and planned uses in the area, including any ag or open space lands, the probable need for public facilities in the area, the capacity of those public facilities, the existence of any economic communities of interest in the area related to social economic issues, and any disadvantaged communities and the potential services that need to be provided for them. So those findings have been made, and they are in the staff report and both in the resolution for the application. I'll just touch briefly on a couple of them, but they are consistent, and we can make determinations that find that they are consistent with the proposal. The subject parcel is located in Santa Clara County and is designated hillside by the county's general plan, and these land uses are consistent with the development that's proposed. This parcel does not include any agricultural open space as defined by the Cortese-Not-Territorial Act. They do already have plans that have been approved for development of the single-family house. The West Bay Sanitary District finds that it can provide service to this particular property without negatively impacting their facilities and their sewer system. The parcel will be served by Cal Water for domestic water services, and they did not find any issues with that potential service. One thing to note, and there's an attachment that's in the staff report as well, is that the property is not located within the boundaries of a fire district or city. So calls for fire service, emergency medical services, and police would likely go to Santa Clara County's 911 communications first, and then they would need to determine whether there's a unit nearby. If there's determined that a San Mateo unit is closer, then the San Mateo County Public Safety Communications would be contacted to dispatch the response. The most likely responder in case of fire or medical emergency is Woodside Fire Protection District. The Woodside Fire Station number 8 is the closest station to the property. And as part of this question about service for a medical and emergency response, San Mateo LAFCo staff worked with Santa Clara County Planning, San Mateo County Public Safety Communications, and Woodside Fire Protection District to identify this process of dispatching emergency responders to the property if there are calls for service.
Okay.
For CEQA purposes, on February 11th, 2021, the County of Santa Clara adopted a mitigated negative declaration. LAFCo is a responsible agency for this particular action, and we must certify that the commission has considered the contents of the mitigated negative declaration as prepared by the county. And there's a recommendation and a finding within the resolution for the action. So staff's recommendation is that the application is approved for both the minor sphere of influence amendment and the annexation of a 3343 Alpine Road, unincorporated Santa Clara County, to the West Bay Sanitary District. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. I believe the applicant is also here if you have any specific questions for them.
Okay, is there any questions from the commissioners? I don't.
Seems like it's all been worked out.
Right, I don't see any hands. So, Angela, is there any comments from the public?
Thank you, Chairman. We did not receive any written comments for item number 4.
Okay, and is there any hands raised?
I do not see any virtual hands raised for this item either, Chair.
Oh, okay, so I close the public hearing on this matter. I bring it back to the commission for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. If there's no discussion, roll call vote, please, Angela.
Commissioner Cosgrove,
Aye.
Commissioner Loman,
Yes.
Commissioner Rohrbach,
Yes.
Vice Chair Draper,
Yes.
Chairman O'Neill.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Your motion passes.
All right, now we move on to item number 5, which is adoption of municipal service review for County Service Area 11, Pescadero. Rob?
Thank you, Chair. So yes, we saw the draft municipal service review for CSA 11 at the March meeting, and this is now the final version of that report brought back for adoption by the commission. I won't touch about what municipal service reviews aren't that much, but again, they're intended to serve as a tool by LAFCo to help the public and agencies kind of understand those public service and government delivery issues, see if there are potential options for improvement, and looking at the effectiveness of public services in those areas. And there's a number of determinations that have been made similar to what we just covered in the sphere of influence amendments, but it's talking about growth of population, disadvantaged communities, the capacity of infrastructure, the financial ability of those agencies to provide services, accountability, and shared services. Very briefly, for County Service Area 11, just as a refresher for the commission and for the members of the public, CSA 11 was formed in 1988 to provide water service to the portions of Pescadero. There are currently 101 customer connections. The system relies on groundwater, and then there are 3 wells that provide that water. Primarily, currently well number 3, the most recent well that was drilled, is the primary supply well. As the county service area, the County Board of Supervisors acts as the governing body for CSA 11, and San Mateo County Department of Public Works manages the water and systems and the finances for CSA 11. This is an overall map of the area. Again, the existing boundaries are shown in orange. So you primarily have parcels that are in CSA 11 along Stage Road and North Street, with a couple of parcels along Pescadero Creek Road as well. And then this one parcel further to the west is the current location of the Cal Fire Station. There were some minor updates from the draft to the final version. I'll just touch on those briefly. A statement, and this was in response largely to comments that were received by staff from the commission at the March meeting. There was a statement regarding soil subsidence and the CSA 11 aquifer that was made on page 23 of the MSR. Per county staff, even though the aquifer is in overdraft, there has not been any evidence at this time of soil subsidence in the well field. Over the last years that CSA 11 has been in operation, and then, in addition to the various studies that were done for the consultants by the county to evaluate water supply, they have not identified soil subsidence as a concern or an issue at this time. There was an addition to the recommendation regarding the long-term planning for CSA 11 and the aquifer. There was an amendment of this sentence or so included to the recommendation to say that these long-term planning documents could explore ways to address aquifer decline management of the existing aquifer or alternate water sources for CSA 11. There was a question regarding the fund balance for CSA 11. So there was additional background that was provided on how that came to be. That was added on page 9. When the CSA 11 fund balance accrued over several years, there was a update of rates in 2012. And so there were years that revenue did exceed the cost to operate the system, allowing those funds basically to be placed in reserve. However, with the new contract to operate CSA 11 water system, the operational expenses have increased beyond the service revenue received by the district at this time. There was also an addition of a footnote with the definition of the urban rural boundary, and that can be found on page 2. And currently in the MSR that's attached to the staff report, those edits are shown in red for clarification, and then they'll be adopted if there are no further changes to the MSR. So again, just highlighting a few issues for CSA 11. Currently, the well field is in decline. The current rates do not support year-over-year operation of the water system. There continues to be local efforts regarding development in Pescadero. There are a number of constraints, though, regarding that development, including flooding and septic system requirements. Due to the small population base, the cost of services for both water and solid waste collection are relatively high compared to other communities. And the county continues to work with CAL FIRE and other agencies regarding the relocation of the existing fire station within the Pescadero community, potentially to the Pescadero Middle School and High School site. But any future expansion of the CSA 11 boundary to provide water to that new fire station location will be subject to a separate LAFCo review and approval. These are the MSR recommendations and determinations. They're found within the resolution and the staff report. There have been no changes to these determinations and recommendations from the draft version. And again, this is a couple of pages left financial. I'd be happy to, if anyone has any specific questions, I'd be happy to go back to these slides and walk through them. Regarding public outreach and the comment period, the comment period was open from March 7th to April 7th. There were no comments received by LAFCo for the MSR. There was a presentation done from LAFCo staff to the Pescadero Municipal Advisory Council. They were generally supportive of the MSR and recommendations. We had the March meeting for the commission to review the draft MSR. Public notices were sent out to interested parties. And again, reiterating the point that any proposal to expand or alter the boundaries of CSA 11 would be subject to a separate LAFCo process. So with that, the recommendation is to open the public hearing, accept comments on the report, accept the final municipal service review, and then adopt the determinations and recommendations. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Is there any questions from any of the commissioners? I see heads shaking no. Okay, Angela, is there any public comments received or hands raised?
Thank you, Chairman. We did not receive any written public comments for item number 5, and I do not see any virtual hands raised for this item, Chairman.
All right, I close the public comment period. And unless there's further discussion, I need a motion for item number 5. Commissioners,
Move to approve.
need a second?
Second.
All right, we have a move to approve by Commissioner Lohman and a second by Rohrbach. Roll call vote, please, Angela.
Commissioner Cosgrove,
Aye.
Commissioner Loman,
Yes.
Commissioner Rohrbach,
Yes.
Vice Chair Draper,
Yes.
Chairman O'Neill.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Your motion passes.
Thank you, Angela. Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, and that will be the adoption of the final work program and LAFCo budget for fiscal year 2022 and 23. Rob?
Thank you, Chair. And again, this is the final proposed budget and work plan. You saw the draft proposed budget and work plan back in March. Just highlighting a couple of the changes between the draft and the final proposed. In this table, the last column to the right is the change. The final proposed one is the second to the right. There were some revisions that I'll talk about here in a minute, but the proposed 22-23 budget is $797,167. That's an increase of $29,024 from the draft budget. The 1/3 apportionment is $182,942, an increase of $9,147. Those changes and revisions that occurred was a change in statutory salary and benefits for the LAFCo executive officer in line with county HR policies and salaries. The rent for the LAFCo office space increase because it was an estimated cost, along with an estimated cost for the part-time LAFCo clerk position, which is now, again, similar to the LAFCo executive officer. Those are statutory benefits by the county for those positions. The county controller's administration, there was a slight increase in those costs, and those are estimated costs in the draft budget. And then the county cost allocation costs that are there of an increase of about $3,000, almost $4,000. Again, that was an estimated line item in the budget back in March. The work plan itself, again, we're anticipating having the EPASD, City of East Palo Alto, MSR at the June special meeting in June. So we will have that wrapped up this fiscal year. CSA 11, which was just completed today, we'll have a South San Francisco and Westboro Water District MSR in the near future, along with the City of Burlingame and Hillsborough. San Bruno and Millbrae late in 2023, Foster City as well, and then a future consultant MSR that we have in the reserve, partially saved this year and then partially probably saved in the following years if the commission approves that in concept. There was some direction, though, at the March meeting, and so the work plan has been updated and incorporated a couple additional studies to conduct. There was a special study that was programmed for the Broadmoor Police Protection District in mid to late 2022, and the MSR update for the San Mateo County Harbor District in late 2023. Regarding the study for Broadmoor Police Protection District, it was recommended by staff that it would be a special study and not a municipal service review. That allows LAFCo a little bit more flexibility to look at specific issues without having to use the framework of the specific determinations in the MSR. With the special study, the focus would be on accountability and transparency, the fiscal ability of the agency, and potential governance options. And another thing that the study will do, will look at the previous MSR recommendations and their status, and if whether they're haven't been implemented or not, or some adjustments still need to be made. So with that, there's 3 recommendations, including adoption of the work plan and then directing the executive officer to distribute the budget to the county, cities, and independent special districts, and to invoice those agencies through the county controller's office. and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, is there any questions from any of the commissioners? Commissioner Rohrbach?
Rob, what is late 2023 for the Harbor District MSR? How late is late?
That will, I think, I will have a better sense of what that time frame is when I have, because there are two MSRs that are in administrative draft form right now with South City and Westboro. If I can move those along on a relatively quick basis, and then what the special study will be for Broadmoor, and then potentially a study for Burlingame, late 2023, that probably is starting. I would probably, late, I guess I'm by late in the 22-23 fiscal year. So you're probably looking at something along the early parts of the calendar year of 2023, potentially, at least initially, and starting that MSR. One of the things I will be working on at the end of this budget year, budget cycle, is looking at what our overall work plan is and what the cycle is for our MSRs. I think in the last budget cycles, we've been looking at how do we complete the ones we have, but now we need to look at, okay, once we get past that first review and then completion, how do we want to look at MSRs going forward? How do we group them? What's the cycle for them? So I think that will also kind of help, but I think it's sort of the late of the fiscal year, I would say, but so early calendar-ish year in 2023.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions from any commissioners? Okay, I see no hands raised. Is there any members of the public that wish to speak or any written comments received, Angela?
Thank you, Chairman. We did not receive any written public comment for this item. And again, I do not see any virtual hands raised, Chairman.
Okay, so unless there's further discussion, bring it back to the commission for a motion to approve.
Move approval as staff recommends.
Second.
All right, we have a first by Draper, second by Lohman. Angela, roll call,
Commissioner
please.
Cosgrove,
Aye.
Commissioner Lohman,
Yes.
Commissioner Rohrbach,
Yes,
Vice Chair Draper, Chairman O'Neill.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Your motion passes.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 7. Consideration authorizing an agreement with the County of San Mateo for staffing, legal counsel, office space, and supplies for the 22-23 fiscal year. Rob?
Thank you, Chair. So LAFCo annually adopts a contract between LAFCo and San Mateo County for staffing, facilities, and legal counsel. The services also in that contract include coordination between LAFCO and the county budget, billing services for the 1/3 apportionment, and HR support. There are no amendments to this contract. If you recall, last year there were some amendments that we made to further identify what the services are that the county provides to LAFCO. Those were incorporated and approved, and that format has not changed. There's no changes to this particular contract other than the not to exceed amounts. The not to exceed amounts, as I had mentioned, includes staffing for the executive officer, the management analyst position once we fill it again, other staffing such as the clerical position, rent, legal services, and supplies. So funds in this not to exceed amount, funds for outside auditing service and reserve funds are not included in that contracted amount. Any savings that results in that are less than the not to exceed contract carry over as part of the fund balance for LAFCO. So with that, the recommendation then is to authorize the chair to execute the attached agreement with the County of San Mateo in the amount of $654,467. And that concludes my report.
Okay, any questions from commissioners? Okay, I have a question probably for Rob and Tim. Being, Martha retired and then we have hired Rob, there was some, for lack of a better word, negotiations that went on with the county over who was actually employing Rob. And I was wondering, is that something we should put on the work plan or an agenda to codify, or is it codified and it's all worked out with the county now as to who hires the executive officer? I don't know.
I'll let Tim respond first, then I'll go after him.
Yeah.
The question of who the LAFCo appoints as its executive officer has always been pretty clear. The issue that came up had to do with the order of events. And we were able to work out something that accomplished the mutual objectives of the county and the LAFCO in this instance. It may be worth having a discussion about whether or not we propose amendments to the language to better match the commission's interests and expectations going forward, but we didn't regard that as being an urgent necessity in the current state of things. We can prioritize it if it's something the commission wants to talk about.
Okay.
And I agree with Tim. I do think that that is something that we can add to our work plan, kind of as a longer viewpoint to figure out what the language, and that will give LAFCO staff and the county time to review what that language can be or should be in that contract.
Okay, and then given your age, I don't think you're going to be retiring very soon. You have a kid to go get through college, right, Rob?
Yes, one way or another.
And being it's an infant, you got a while. So, well, I just wanted to check and, make note of that. And I guess now that we do have a precedent, so to speak, that's probably what would be followed next time. So, okay. Angela, do we receive any, unless there's any other comments from other commissioners? I don't see any. So Angela, is there any written comments received or hands raised?
Thank you, Chairman. We did not receive any written public comment, and we do not have any virtual hands raised for this item.
Okay, thank you, Angela. So I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Need a second.
Second.
Okay, first by Loman, second by Rareback. Angela?
Thank you, Commissioner Cosgrove,
Aye.
Commissioner Loman,
Yes.
Commissioner Rohrback,
Yes.
Vice Chair Draper,
Yes.
Chairman O'Neill.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Your motion passes.
All right, next is item 8, and that is an appointment of the public member and alternate public member. And Rob has some thoughts on this.
Yes, so thank you, Chair. I would ask for continuance of this item. Under the government code section for Cortese Knox about appointments for the public member, there is a requirement that the positions to be approved both for the public member and the alternate public member positions be approved by the affirmative vote of at least one member of the appointed members by each other appointing body. So a member of the city, county, and special district positions. We do not have any county members here at today's meeting. So I would request that we then continue the item, potentially to our June special meeting. We can have it as one of the first ones there before we take the Palo Alto MSR on. And we can give, but the one thing I will say is for Ann, and if we needed the alternate public member, Jim O'Neill, to participate in these meetings before the appointment happened, there is a code section in Cortese Knox that allows essentially holdover terms until there is an actual new appointment. And because there's no appointment being made, both Commissioner Draper and alternate Commissioner Jim O'Neill can stay within their roles until an actual appointment is made. So I would ask that we then continue this item to our next LAFCo meeting and take no action today.
But you do need a motion to continue it, correct? Or do you not need a motion?
If no action is taken, it would effectively be put on the next commission agenda anyway, so it doesn't require an action.
Okay, so is there any public comments, Angela, either written or hands raised?
We did not receive any. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. So moving on to item number 9, with Legislative and Policy Committee Legislative Report, and this is information only item.
Yes, so currently there are 28 bills being tracked. Many of them are similar to what you've seen last month. Currently, of the 5 that we're still kind of following to a large extent that are LAFCo specific, or SB 938, which is the protest provision rewrite, and a letter of support was submitted by San Mateo LAFCo for that bill. AB 2957, which is the omnibus bill, which has additional cleanup language for Cortese Knox. There's SB 825, which is the Climate Resiliency Districts Act, which again is a watch. AB 1640, Regional Climate Networks, which is a watch, and the grant funding for inhabited annexation, which is also a watch. Many of these are still awaiting their hearings in the houses and have not really moved forward all that much. There are a number of maybe Tim can speak more of these than I can. There are a number of Brown Act bills that are moving forward to the legislature regarding either hybrid meetings or remote type meetings. We continue to meet remote according to the provisions that we have, especially regarding the Emergency Act that the governor has declared still for the state of California. So we are within our compliance for that, but we do expect to see some potential bills move forward regarding remote meetings or hybrid meetings in the future. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Are there any questions from any commissioners?
Nope.
I don't see any hands, so move on to item number 10, the commissioner staff reports. Information only item, no vote.
I do not have anything to report.
Okay, next is a fond farewell for item 11 for Joshua Cosgrove. Yes, Joshua's, he has been on the board. He was on the board longer than I have been. He was here when I got here, and I've been on here, I think, at least 7 or 8 years. So bid him a fond farewell to whatever he's going to do with all the free time he will have now that LAFCO is not part of his agenda. Okay, any other comments? And I wish him well, to him and his family. And is there any other comments from other commissioners?
I just want to thank him for his service, and I think he's always done a conscientious job, and I appreciate all the time that he spent on LAFCO matters.
Yes.
I'll
I would like
second those comments.
Right. And I'd like to commend him on his attendance. I mean, I can't recall him missing a meeting, although we've all missed 1 or 2 meetings over the years, but I don't recall him ever missing a meeting. So thank you for the attendance there, Joshua. And Rob and Angela, if you have any comments.
Yes, just very briefly, I just wanted to thank Joshua for all his help. When I came on board at LAFCO, I think he might have been vice chair at the time, or almost chair, and it was just very helpful to get up to speed and learn about the commission. You always provided great input on, especially when we did the service reviews or we had complicated questions. You were always asking hard questions, but good questions to figure out, how do we address this? What is a good way to respond to it? What are some things that maybe LAFCO staff is not thinking about? Bringing a lot of expertise knowledge in the subject of wastewater and water. And you were a great colleague to work with. You were great on the commission, and you certainly will be missed. So hopefully you'll attend as a member of the public or an applicant, but I'm sure we'll hopefully see you around, Joshua.
All right. Did you want to say anything, Josh?
Just thank you very much. Appreciate all the kind words and appreciate working with all of you. Sorry that I'm saying goodbye on Zoom, but such is the world we live in these days. But thank you very much. I really briefly, I really appreciate and enjoy working with Martha all those years. So hopefully her ears are ringing right now. But Martha Poyatos was a great executive officer, and really enjoyed my time with her and as the executive officer there. And Rick, almost the entire time you and I were the special district members. So continue on and wish you all well. And I'm sure I'll see some of you all around somewhere at some point, but thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rob. Let's see. Is there a vote for this, or you're going to mail a certificate or something, Rob?
Yes, I will make sure that we get the resolution. There is no vote though.
Okay, I didn't see a vote. I just wanted to double check. That's all. Okay, so next item, thank you very much, Josh. Fond farewell. The next item is number 12, and that's adjournment. Unless there's anything anybody wants to say? Nope. Okay, I hereby adjourn the meeting at 3:10 p.m. today on 5/18. All right, everybody. Thank you. Stay safe, and we'll see you in June, which will probably be a big meeting. So we'll take care. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
luck,
Bye.
Josh.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Josh.